Okay, so I have something to read for you. You have mentioned that you're a lawyer. Needed asking advice for a friend.
Uh-huh.
So I get this text message from my wife the other day. I'm going to change the names to protect the innocent.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to ask you how you would defend this case.
Okay.
Jennifer, Ben's fiance, somehow put their dog in the dryer and killed it. Like seriously, how does that happen?
How am I defending that case? I would defend that case by what kind of dog is it?
I don't know. It was like not a really small dog, but not a big dog.
All right. So here's what happened. It was probably, it may well have been an over-the-top loader or maybe a front loader where she tried to load it in, just dumping the laundry in there. While she was doing that, the dog wandered in there thinking that it looked cool. She was looking over here. Dog crawls in. She shuts the door, turns it on. Sure, there was a thumping sound, but when isn't there a thumping sound when the dryer's running? And here's what I would just like to know. If it's his dog, why wasn't he looking after it? In fact, why are we being so quick to blame Jennifer for all this?
Well, it was their dog.
Oh, their dog.
Their dog.
Well, clearly she didn't love it that much.
What I said. I said she must have really hated that dog.
Yeah, I think the only way you can defend that is say, "Whoops." How about that, man? A dryer. Would a dryer kill a dog?
It did.
Oh, okay. So this actually happened to someone.
Yes.
That poor
This
dog.
is a real text that I got.
I bet the clothes weren't clean afterward.
Oh, that burnt hair smell.
Oh, that poor pup. At least he's in puppy heaven now, because we all know dogs go to heaven.
All dogs.
So, all dogs.
All dogs go to heaven.
And so no, that's terrible. But yeah, I think I would defend that with my bad. Dog crawled in on its own.
I don't know. He went in there and shut the door on himself.
Yeah. He pulled it shut.
He finally had enough of this Chiefs news.
Yeah. He couldn't take it anymore.
He couldn't take missing out on Darby.
Yep, it was just too much. There were a lot of people that were very upset about missing out on Darby. That was a tough time for people. Now he was really the last really good corner on the market, so I get it.
Yeah,
but
especially when you see some of the other ones like Verrett, it's like, man, you saw the deal he got. It's like, oh. And we had Darby in the building for like seemingly 3 days. I don't know if he was.
That's the second time that's happened.
Yeah. I don't know. Just
I don't know either.
I feel sorry for Veach's wife if that's the kind of issues he has sealing the deal.
Yeah, that's terrible. I did not think that was the direction you were going when I started to agree with you. That's I don't know what they're doing to these corners when they bring them in, but something's frightening them. They're like, oh yeah, this is going really well, and now here's where I keep all my skinned people. It's like and then they leave, and I don't know what they're doing.
Maybe it's just the skinny guys don't care for Andy Reid's above ground sex pool.
I don't even want to know how that bit came to be or how it's going.
It was a award ceremony. Wasn't it that guy from the Seth MacFarlane guy was doing an award ceremony for one of the sports award shows?
Oh yeah,
it was a gag from that.
Yeah. The ground sex pool. It's always an above ground one, never a below ground.
Oh no.
That would be tacky.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, there's safety measures there because too much motion, it'll just, it'll blow out and you won't drown.
I have no comment. I'm just staring at my fake gun here.
All right. Let me look at my questions.
Staring at my Nerf gun.
All right. Yes or no? Is it technically possible for the defense to get worse? Not do you think it will, but is it a possibility?
Yeah.
Okay.
What we saw the first few weeks of the season, it improved after that. We were on the way for worst defense of all time. We settled for one of the worst 2 or 3 defenses in the NFL. So, yeah, technically it could get worse for sure.
Yeah. One of the things I noted, this comes from like everything else, since you cursed me by continually telling me to join Twitter until I finally did.
That's my bad.
This comes, it's like crack. Came from a Twitter discussion. Was it's not possible for the defense to get worse. It was 31st in the league, and I said, I bet Oakland thought that in 2017 before they traded Mack, when they went from 20th in points allowed to dead last
Right.
the following year.
It would be tough because they have a lot more talent than Oakland has on defense.
Well, yeah, but
It's definitely possible.
Off one player, and we shipped off.
We did.
Yeah,
We definitely did. Barry, unfortunately,
doesn't really count.
Yeah, I love Barry. Doesn't count.
Yeah, he didn't play.
You know, I may have written a completely emo article while listening to Cash's Hurt over and over.
Can I see your wrist real quick?
Yeah, no. Well, that's why I'm wearing long sleeves today. Oh, that's a terrible joke. Anyway, so obviously, I care a great deal that Barry's gone, but he doesn't count as a lost player. The players that they lost that contributed the most are Ford, Houston, and Nelson.
Yeah.
And Nelson, honestly, if they bring in an average corner, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think we'll just have to see. And Ford and Houston, that hurts. But the hope always was, right, that maybe Spagnuolo would bounce out losing one of them. Losing both of them, now the hope for me, now that I've seen that Okafor can play a little bit, maybe Spagnuolo and a decent solid edge can at least somewhat bounce out losing both of them.
Yeah,
and then the idea is you get better everywhere else.
I think you got to really hope you get one of the top. And here we go again. I really like the idea of a corner in the first, but I also would really like a first-round edge rusher.
They've got needs on that side of the ball. And now with this Hill stuff, it makes you think, because I think Hill is I think they were planning on building this team around Mahomes, Hill, and Jones.
Yeah.
And now it's like, because even if it does turn out to be like just a child protection issue, and believe me, as someone who works with them, child protection issues are serious. That's still probably not a guy you want to build around, because unless it's someone completely separate from him, fair enough then. But there's a level of instability that would be shown there that you don't want to build around. Yeah. So receiver is something to think about. But the good news is really they had one of the worst defenses in the NFL last year, and it didn't matter that much. And now that they've broken free from what I like to call the oppressive fog of Bob Sutton, now they can maybe start to emerge into the sunshine again.
And I think there's a lot to be said about like style of scheme and how it applies to today's NFL.
Yeah.
You've been reading a lot lately about like what the Patriots done, where they let their pass rushers go and they spend money on their cornerbacks and their coverage guys. It makes sense. We did the opposite up until now. We had some pretty good coverage guys back in the day, but I think what you saw was that when you have a dominant pass rush and you don't have the coverage guys back there to like make plays on the ball, it just doesn't do anything. And one of the things I've noted is
absolutely saw that
every time you talk about like Steven Nelson, it's like, man, your mind's eye just sees like him getting burnt time after time.
Right.
But he had great grades.
Right.
Because he was in good coverage, but he wasn't making plays on the ball. And I think that's where
that's a struggle.
Yeah. I think the defense was really tuned around having corners that played off a little bit, and were playing the quarterback and the ball rather than just, in the pocket cover guys.
I would agree with that. I think, I don't think Sutton's system is easy for corners. I think it requires a certain type of player. Most corners, here's an easy example. Brandon Flowers in 2013 went from a guy who'd been a stud year after year after year to where that final year he was with the Chiefs was fairly mediocre. I think there's certain types of, and then he went on and played pretty well, I believe, in San Diego. And so I think there's just certain types of players that fit different types of schemes. And I'm just not sure if the guys they had in Kansas City were really that great a fit. You look at Kendall Fuller, came to Kansas City and was solid, but wasn't incredible like he was in Washington. So I do think I'm glad you referenced what Belichick did and what the Patriots did this last year, because I keep having people over and over, well, Houston and Jones and Ford must not be that important because they didn't affect the game. Maybe what we're learning is, it was always the idea pass rush is more important than coverage. Maybe they really are that symbiotic because what we saw, I mean, the Chiefs had a legitimately great pass rush.
Dominant.
Absolutely dominant pass rush, and it did not do squat against the Patriots. A good enough game plan can defeat a pass rush. And so maybe the idea is maybe it's easier to make a good game plan with, good coverage. Again, though, maybe it would have been a little different had the pass rush bit had more movement up front. All the stuff they're going to try with Daly, because man, the Pats did a heck of a job with that against the Chiefs. And so we'll see. But I'm excited. I do think the defense will be better. How much better? I'm very concerned about.
Yeah, I will see. I mean, and believe it or not, I'm actually a pretty big Spags fan.
Mhm.
The Eagles have always been my NFC team.
Oh, okay.
So, like, I was always a big fan of the Jim Johnson defense, and
Sure.
he came from that school. So,
Yeah.
that's something I've watched quite a bit, was that style of defense. So I am looking forward to seeing how that pans out. But like many have noted, we're a forearm away from the Super Bowl or a coin flipper, whichever way you want to call it.
Right.
We were so close that it gives you reason for optimism, because you don't have to flip it into a top 10 defense
Mm-hmm.
to know that you're going to be in there at the end.
Right. Right.
So,
Provided the offense can perform at a high level, which I would be stunned if the offense were not really, really, really good again this year. Even if, say, worst case scenario, Tyreek Hill gets suspended or the Chiefs cut him, which could happen. I mean, it absolutely could. Even if that happens, I expect the Chiefs to have a top 5 offense.
oh my God, could you imagine the outrage if this team cuts Tyreek Hill and he goes to the Browns?
Oh my goodness, people would freak out. But I mean, honestly, I think with Hill, depending on how things go down, I think it goes down in a way to where the Chiefs cut him. I think he might be too radioactive. As great a player as he is, because of his history. I just don't, because teams love to talk about second chances.
Adrian Peterson.
Right, but I don't think Peterson had a previous felony assault conviction on his record.
Well, but pictures of the switch marks on the kid and the comments he made, those were pretty damning.
Those were bad. But
Yeah.
even that, the world's changed a lot in the last couple of years.
It's true. It's very true.
And he's got a job now because of all that. But I think with Hill, I think that would be very, very, very difficult.
He'd probably be out at least a year before a team touched him.
Oh yeah, at least. Especially again, if it turns out to be information, because this isn't, with Hunt, people can at least justify it. Oh, it was some drunken dispute. This might be child abuse.
Yeah.
Nope, you lost me for a second, but I'm back now.
Oh, there you are. Okay. It froze up, but your audio was still going, and then your audio stopped and your video came back.
You can't have both.
No, you can't have both. I think you're like overloading the pixels because you're like,
I do move a lot when I talk.
You rage on the interview, which is awesome. All right. Another quick question that's going to turn into a long one, probably. Another discussion that came up. How many 4-3 left ends, like when you think about the great left ends in this league, the great 4-3 pass rushers, how many of them were great against the run?
Edge rushers? I mean, it all depends on what you mean by great. Like, say, like
Derek Thomas is the.
Oh, sure. Okay, so like great.
The greats. I mean, when you think of that guy streaking off against the left tackle after the quarterback,
like an all-time great.
Like
not too many of them. I mean, Reggie White was dominant against both.
Yeah, but he was a different breed. He was
edge and interior.
Yeah, he was a tackle that had edge moves.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever see another one like him. If you count Watt as an edge player, then yes.
He's a tackle, but yeah.
Well, they started using him a ton as edge his last couple of years.
They move him around, but
even during his dominant years. But
the prototypical like left end.
Yeah, pure edge rushers. Khalil Mack might go down like that. I would not say Von Miller's great against the run. I think Houston at his peak is one of the few.
But he was a right end.
Oh yeah. Let me think. No, he was a left end. He was playing up against the right tackle.
Okay, I'm thinking. Okay, other way around.
Oh, okay, other way around. Oh man, not many.
Yeah,
I mean,
your weak side end.
sure, sure. Your weak side ends. I think when you parse it down to that, I don't think there's a lot that were great at both.
Yeah, it came up in discussing Ford and this whole debate now that's going on where like anybody who like looks at like film and knows like defense is saying he could have fit in the defense.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are saying no, he can't fit in our defense. He literally went to a team that runs the 4-3 under that we run,
Hmm.
and they're saying he's a great fit. And that
Yep.
was just kind of my point. Everyone's saying, "Oh, well, you can't hold up against the run," as a weak side defensive end, and I'm like, that's what weak side defensive ends do. They don't play the run. They get after the quarterback.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's just one of those interesting conversations I had today that I just jotted on my notes to discuss with you.
Sure, sure. No, I think Ford would fit just fine in the defense that they're building.
Yeah,
I,
it'll be
I think
interesting to see how they use them.
yeah, I don't think they're planning I don't think they were ever planning on keeping Ford around long term, so it made sense to get the most compensation possible.
Yeah, and then that was pretty much my stance. Is the moment they made it known that he was only going to be here on the tag, you go ahead and get the draft picks for him. You can, whatever it was, because otherwise, I mean, at best case, unless you sign somebody and it wipes it away, you're hoping for a third round comp pick in 2 years.
Yep.
And general rule of thumb is, a second this year is worth a first next year. So a third in 2 years is like a fifth round pick this year.
Right. And so we'll see, we'll see how Ford does. It could be well be that the team thought that his value would never be higher. Maybe they figured without Houston around, that he might struggle being a little more the focal point.
I think it's, and if it was me, if I was building a team around Patrick Mahomes, I've made comments about this before. Like when Le'Veon Bell was on the free agency market, I said, pay the man. I don't care. Go out and pay every offensive player you can. Spend your entire draft on defense, and never have a player on your defense that is not on a rookie contract.
That'd be aggressive.
Well,
I can't get rid of Chris Jones though. I can't do it.
trade him. Get those draft picks.
Oh, I can't get rid of Chris
Save
Jones.
that money, baby. Save that money.
I just love Chris Jones so much.
Well, guess what? That's the new Chiefs. You love the guy? He's on defense? He's gone. He's out of here.
That has been the case.
I mean, obviously it's something that no team would ever do, but I mean, when you think about like crazy ways to approach the NFL as it changes, it's like, man, you get that quarterback, build the offense around him, spend all your draft picks on defense, and go win game 60 to 45.
That would definitely be. I would watch that.
Well, yeah, because we're Chiefs fans. Of course, we're going to tune in every week. So, well, that's pretty much all I got for you. Got anything you want to share with us? Any last thoughts?
Not really. Just the stuff that we talked about with regards to Tyreek Hill. I would keep an open mind about what happens. And just hope that everything ends up okay with their family. It looked like they were doing well for a while, and it's always unfortunate for me. I end up having clients that I see, more than once, and it's almost never a happy reason, and you always root for people to come out of things. And so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, other than that, I'm just gonna continue to monitor what free agency is going on over there at the Athletic, and maybe get a little more into the draft here as that stuff starts to heat up.
Well, hopefully you can shoot your boss an email and say, I literally just got interviewed by a guy wearing an Athletic shirt. Can I get one?
Yeah, no joke. It'd be like, what the proliferation is huge, and I'm not getting anything. This is terrible. I'll have to remember that.
So once again, Seth, it's always great catching up with you.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get to talk probably draft time. Try to catch up with you again, see what's going on.
That sounds good to me, man. You have my number.
Awesome, buddy. I'll catch you around. Thank you again.